Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this card. It's a gatefold card and it features a Gorjuss stamp, but it could equally feature any of the stamps that you've got in your collection, so you could use the measurements and the ideas and come up with a colour scheme and look of your own using the stamps that you have. I'd let you know that from now on I'm going to be putting a list of measurements for things like cards over on my blog, so I'll put the link at the end of this video, and I'll be also posting the measurements as I show you how to put this card together. Now I'm going to be making a gatefold card, and the first piece of card measures 8 inches by 11.5 inches. So to make a gatefold card you need to score the two ends of your card so that they meet in the middle when you fold them into the centre. So for this measurement of card we're going to score at 2 7/8 of an inch, and as you can see I've flipped the card completely round so I can score each side at the same measurement, and then when I fold them into the centre of the card they should meet in the middle and look like a gate, hence the name for this card fold. And so for the card inner you're going to take a piece of cardstock, and I've used the same colour as I'll be using for my main image on the front of the card, and it measures 5.5 inches by 7.75 inches. And another optional element of this card is roughing up the edges with your scissors. I want a slightly distressed look for my card because I feel it goes with the image and it goes with the papers that I've chosen. So I'm just gently taking my scissors and rubbing them along the edge of the card and just roughing them up a little bit. You may have a distressing tool to do this, but I find the edges of my scissors work well because they're a little bit rough and they just lightly distress my cardstock. And once all your edges are lightly distressed, you're ready to attach the inner to the centre of your card. I'm using double-sided tape and I'm just using 3 strips, and that will hold it nicely in place, and I'm going to centre it on that middle section of my gatefold. I know that the gatefold makes it impossible to use a paper inner on the inside of your card, but I actually really like this look and I'll be using it in more of my normal or plain folded cards in the future, because I don't know, just like that sort of element that it carries on the theme of the card on the inside. So I'm going to do that by using some green strips that match the card that's going to cover the front of this gatefold card, and as you see I will be roughing the edges as I attach these strips to the inside of my card. So I've cut 2 strips of green that measure 1/2 inch by 5.5 inches, and I'm attaching them with double-sided tape, roughly leaving about 1/2 inch, maybe just slightly less, at the top and the bottom of this insert. And then I'm going to finish off by attaching little strips of paper, and this paper matches the paper that I'll be putting on my stamped image. And I've cut 2 paper strips that measure 1/4 inch by 5.5 inches. A little bit more difficult to distress the edges of paper, so I'm doing this very delicately and trying to support them with my hands or my thumb at the same time, so I don't keep folding this up. And the addition of the double-sided tape before I actually do this gave it a little bit more body, and then I'm going to attach them centrally on the green strips, so one at the bottom and one at the top. Now I hope you'll agree with me that this style of stamp just cries out for a little bit of faux stitching, so I've got out my fine black pen and I'm going to go right round the outside edge of this card inner. So just little tiny stitches all the way around the outside. You could go wild and add a little bit more to your stripes, but I'm just going to stick to the outside edge. Next we're going to work on covering the front of the gatefold card. So I'm just distressing the 2 pieces of green cardstock that I've cut to measure 2.5 inches by 7.75 inches. I'm using a set of Gorjuss stamps for this card. You may well be using something else, so you want to find a small coordinating stamp that goes with your main image to do this portion of the tutorial. I'm going to be stamping in a green ink that matches my cardstock, and you'll also need some kind of ink blending tool because we're going to be inking the edges. I'm using a Forest Moss Distress ink, and then I'm going to randomly stamp this butterfly all over this cardstock. So placing the two pieces of card together, and sorry if I jog the tripod as I ink my stamp, but I'm just going to randomly stamp this little butterfly all over the two pieces of cardstock. So keeping things nice and random, don't forget to stamp some of the images off the edge of the card, and randomly stamp both strips of card with your little butterfly or the stamp that you've chosen to coordinate with your main image. And then I'm going to take my ink blending tool and I'm just lightly inking, again with the Forest Moss, the edges of the two pieces of cardstock. And now we're ready to attach those to the front of our card. So I'm just adding double-sided tape to the back of each of the strips. And then I'm going to attach them to the front of the card. So one for each side of the gatefold. And don't forget to match up your butterflies, the ones that you stamped over the two pieces of cardstock in the middle. And position them so that they're central on those card fronts, and you will get a nice brown border around the outside edge. I'm sure once you've mastered the gatefold card there are lots of different ways to decorate it, but I'm going to show you a way that I think is quite effective for featuring a main stamped image. So I've got two pieces of cardstock. The brown is going to make the frame for the stamped image, and the white one is the one, or the cream one is the one that I'm going to be stamping on. So again, distressing both the edges before I start. My cream card measures 3.5 inches by 5 3/4 inches, and the brown matte measures 3 3/4 inches by 6 inches. And now we're ready to begin stamping. This is my main image. It's a Gorjuss stamp, and which always sounds funny, I know, but it's from the Urban Rubber Stamp collection, and she's got a pretty little paper chain, and I'm going to stamp this image slightly down on my cardstock because I want to include another paper chain which comes with this stamp set above my main image, and I've stamped her with black archival ink. Also included in this set is a little book, which is the book that this little paper chain has been cut from. So I'm just going to stamp this by my little girl's feet, and then I've also got a little pair of scissors and a few scraps of paper. So I'm building up a little picture here, and the beauty of stamping in black is if you have any little mistakes where you've missed off a little bit of stamping, you can just get out your fine black pen and fill in any small errors. So I've gone a little bit off camera here, but I'm stamping the little book onto a sheet of dictionary paper, and this is now getting ready for my paper piecing. So I also want to cut out the actual paper chain of this little girl and the little heart. So I don't need to stamp the whole image, but I might as well do that because I'm also going to use the stockings of this little girl and the petticoat all in the same paper. So I'm stamping or inking up the areas that I want to use and then stamping her onto the dictionary paper. So I don't need my whole image to be perfect, I just need the little elements that I wanted. So I've got her tights and petticoat, I've got the paper chain, and I've got the little heart on her hair. Next I'll be inking up the paper chain, and again I'm just getting all my elements together that I'm going to paper piece with, and that's the beauty of this method of decorating your stamped images. It takes a little while to cut these things out, but it really does look effective once you add them to your stamped image. So I'm stamping my paper chain, and I've decided to use the book paper for these elements because it really does go with this image, the idea that she's cut this paper chain out of a book. And the final element I need on this paper is some more butterflies. So I'll be using these to decorate the inside of the card and also the card front. So I'm just stamping a selection of butterflies. So as you can see here, I'm moving on to stamp my second patterned paper, which is this little striped paper. Just how small the little scraps of paper you can use for this technique. So I'm just stamping again some more butterflies that will be used on the front and the inside of the card. And then I have got a slightly bigger piece that I want to stamp her dress onto. So I'm inking up the portion of her dress and also her boots, and then I'm just positioning the stamp so I get those two elements. So I've got the boots and the dress, and they're ready to be cut out and pieced onto the main image. So take your time, put on a bit of music, and then you're going to carefully cut out all the little elements that you've stamped. So I just need her boots and all the little pieces that I've got extra that I can fit a butterfly on. As you can see, I'm just stamping with another little butterfly. And on this stamp, I'm keeping the little girl's dress. And in the book paper, I want to keep just her legs or her tights and her petticoat. Now I like to attach my paper pieces with a glue pen, mainly because it's easy to control. It doesn't make any mess if you add a little bit too much glue. If you've got a lovely fine applicator on a PVA glue, that would work just as well. And where I've removed her hair from the dress, it removed the sleeves, so I've added those sleeves on separately. I'm also adding the little book. I did think about a few seconds cutting out all those little spare bits of paper, but I'm not that dedicated. But I did cut out the little tiny heart. And I think I'm going to be a little while cutting out these little paper chains, so I'm going to fast forward to adding these to the image. So that's paper chain number 1 cut out. That's the largest paper chain, and I'm just adding my image to the frame so that I can attach the large paper chain across like a garland across the top of the card. I'm just using a fine black pen to add definition to the stripes on the little girl's tights. And I've had a little break from cutting out, but I've still got this tiny paper chain to cut out, so I'm going to be doing that next. This was definitely the most fiddly part of this image to cut out, but I think it was worth the effort. So just take your time, and you'll soon be ready to glue it onto that main image. And it's back out with the fine black pen just to add a little stitched border to the outside edge of the image. So that's the main image finished, and now we're thinking about the actual front of the card, and I want to add some of the paper butterflies to the random butterflies that we've stamped on the green paper. So again, I'm just cutting out butterflies and attaching them randomly to the front of the card. Bear in mind that half of the left-hand side of the card will be covered by your main image, so you can concentrate those butterflies on the outside edge, and I'm just trimming off any that go over the edge of the green strips. And I think you can see that I've added more butterflies to the right hand edge, because you'll be able to see this side when the card is open. I also want to attach 3 little butterflies to the inside of my card, and I'm going to leave the actual greeting part blank because I don't know who I'm going to give this card to, and I quite often do this, and you can add the perfect greeting when you know who you're going to send the card to. So I'm just attaching 3 little butterflies, And then I'm going back in. You could have actually stamped the butterflies if you wanted to onto the card first, but I'm just going back in with my pen to add the little antennae. So we're almost finished and it's time to attach our main image, and of course we only want to have adhesive on the left hand side of the image. So if you hold it in position and flip the card open, you can use either a ball tool or, as I'm doing here, my fingernail, just to create a little mark on the back of the image. Make sure you put the tape on the right side, so don't move your image about too much, and I'm using foam tape just to raise my image a little bit away from the front of the card. So once you've attached the image, just check the inside, make sure you can't see any of that tape. And then I've got one final finishing touch, a little butterfly, which I'm attaching with some silicone glue, just fluttering about on the front of the card. Again, just add those little antennae with a fine black pen. So there you have it, my finished card and my first card tutorial on YouTube for 2014. It formed one of the two cards that I taught in a real life card class in January this year, and I hope that you like it. It's definitely given you some dimensions for a gatefold card and a look at paper piecing if you've never tried it before. It's definitely a nice alternative to colouring in your stamped images. You don't have to choose one quite so complicated on the cutting out, but I hope that I've inspired you to give paper piecing a go next time you're making a card. So at the end of this video I'll put the link to my blog where you'll find the dimensions for this card listed. Feel free to subscribe if you want to, because I share lots of creativity over there. There's a ton of ideas, and feel free to take a good look around. Also you'll find links to my Etsy shop where I sell online workshops. And before I run out of breath and leave you to your crafting, don't forget to hit subscribe if you've enjoyed this tutorial. I look forward to sharing more tutorials with you this year, and for now, thank you for watching.